It's weird because like I've thought recently over the last couple of days, it's finally dawning on me that this is the end. Not technically, but this is the end for now. I don't know full details on when the Gundabad expansion is out. It could be out for all I know tomorrow. It probably isn't, let's be honest. But I will be keeping an eye on the news for that. Either way, I'm bad at finishing off this video. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. So, we're back with Harvellard. For the first time in, technically, 8 months. It's been 8 months since episode 600, and in that time, a lot has happened. Main primary thing is an entire server swap, which means, technically, this Harvellard is not Harvellard that we've been playing with for 600 episodes, which is a little bit weird, but ultimately, I think it's worked out for the best. So I have caught up, obviously. I have the new expansion quests available to us. We've already done Legacy up to 4, up to Chapter 4, and we've done a majority, like, we're up to date with the content. So one thing I have not done, and obviously I did not do this in a video either, was the Blood of Azog. So we're going to be starting off with that today. I think there's like 11 quests or something in that, and we're going to just be trying to get through that. But the main other things that have changed is, well, from like just looking at it, are cosmetics. Simply put, moving to another server and having festival gear from the end of the year means I haven't had a chance to go and get my cosmetics, and personally I actually think I really like where we're at. I really like this outfit, the swords, the auras, and etc. Gear is also a massive change. Obviously the legendary update has released and we have made very decent progress when it comes to that. In fact, we even have a secondary sword if we wanted to switch to single target stuff. This right now is a kind of AoE general use sword, and the bow as well has all the stuff on it. But gear wise, we've done a lot of work. I kind of understand a lot more than I did, I think it's safe to say, because we've got stuff like the crafted, chest plate, which is probably not now the best thing in the game, but hey, at 130 it's pretty damn good. This crafted helmet, we've done a lot. So having just a look at our vault, for example, I've put all the old gear that we've upgraded. We've kept everything, which sadly now deconstructs from moats. This is all the stuff that we were previously using. And if you were to look at it, in terms of stats, their main, I've got less agility, but I do get like 22,000 more physical mastery. And I do get more morale, well actually less morale, but I get like fate, ultimately, and also the set bonus. Ultimately, this stuff is just, it's pretty good. But nonetheless, yeah, we've had a general change of gear, upgrades, obviously. So we can treat it as like a time skip. It's been 8 months, but we've made a load of progress in that time. Whilst we haven't progressed the main story, gear-wise, we have been doing a lot. We also have sorted out a redline build. I know it's so weird, me being redline. And also our virtues are actually, correct now. For the longest time, I just had everything spattered around, nothing in wit, and etc., because of the old virtue system. But now we've actually, put time in and actually focused on it. So determination and valor are at max. So that's really, really useful and gets our stats up. We have like, 25% crit, which is capped. Our physical mastery is 189.5. Technically 214.5, so 0.5 away from max, which is really not going to make the difference between life and death. But yeah, first thing we need to do is Reflections of War, which gives us an easy 260,000 experience. Exactly 260,000 experience. That's kind of weird. And also this gives us a frame, since we don't have our Yule frame, which I will stand by as the best frame. 2,000 virtue experience and a trait point, which is useful since we're at 91, and I want 92 because I want more damage over time. But let's get rid of these real quick. Aid glowing in the Blood of Azog, a lesson hard learnt. So I get some enhancement runes incomparable. Kinda useless. Wait, it doesn't say what level they are. Huh, that's really weird. Huh, that's really, yeah, peculiar. If we also get to 131, we should be able to level up our sword and our bow, which is also pretty useful. Yeah, I wonder how that works. Also, apparently this quest, I think, gives you a Scroll of Empowerment, which I'm sure you can tell is not exactly the most useful item in the world. So let's see what we have to do. So we have to travel to the War of Three Peaks. Okay, so we need to travel to this area. The names of these places do confuse me sometimes. Oh, also another thing that has been done in the meantime is we've actually done some like end game content. Stairs is something I've done a decent amount of just to get embers and such, which actually curious. No, I still keep my embers. Okay, good to know. Stuff like that, the Nazgul, I've done like Threshold, which isn't a massive deal, but considering I'm someone who is very solo play, it's quite a big deal for us to jump into, you know, just a group content kind of stuff. It's very weird for my change to be that way. And also we have our hobby gift. Forgot about that. 20 virtue experience. That can go into my loyalty. Gives me a little bit more health. Eventually. It's really terrible stats in a minute. Oh! So many things. I forgot, it's pretty much going to be useless soon anyway, so I'm going to use this tier 6 box to give myself a vitality essence. Again, probably going to be very useless, you know, in like 5 minutes. But, hey, it's like 8k more morale, so I may as well, and I'm not going to do anything with it otherwise at the end of this, so I'm just going to get new stuff otherwise. So chapter 5.1 is here, Bloody Threshold, which is something I should have picked up, because I could have gone a go. That's kind of annoying. So ultimately my stats, I don't know if I'll put a thing up on the screen, maybe a comparison between the two, but my stats from Tar Valon to Tar Valon now is absolutely crazy in terms of like how much we've actually got. It's kind of weird to think, but you know, it's one of those things. I need to find one of the guys. I'm trying to find him. Oops. But yeah, stat-wise, it's incredibly different now, and we should not really be struggling like we kind of were at the end of episode, well, technically 599. He's planned to reclaim Mount Gundabad to Lagi and ask his thoughts on it. I have many misgivings in regards to the prince's plan. Just look at the soldiers here. They are tired. We spent the lives of many dwarves to win the gates of Mount Gundabad, but for those who survived, it is now a matter of will, and not all dwarves and the Gabilica can bear such a burden. Hardship is to be expected in war, but much of these soldiers do not know it as I do. In my youth, we spent 6 years as a bit of war fighting our enemies. Even in the height of his fury, King Thrain knew the value of respite from battle. Many look back at the war as a single great battle of the place I'm not going to try and pronounce. But we fought those years without rest. We would have never made it to the gates of Khazar Dûm. If Prince Durin were to hear my advice, is that our soldiers would need rest and time to heal for the coming battles. We've been fortunate thus far in the War of Three Peaks, but winning a battle does not win a war. Good insight. He's not just bloodlust. He's not just like, nah, we need to do it now. So that's actually pretty good. You know, someone level-headed. Wow, there are so many people here. It's really nice, actually, for the first time in regards to this. We are at new content, you know? We've always been playing catch-up, but now we're actually here. I too should have probably read what he said. Recently I've been kind of just running through the content repetitively, so I'm just like, yeah, let's just, you know, click it through, but I should actually start reading this stuff. Lord Nathan sent you, I have much to report, some good and some of it ill. The defenses are held against the orcs and their numbers have dwindled since our encounter at the Mount of Gundabad. Those few that made their way across our lines are unorganized and easy prey for the Jelruka. In the past several days, I'm proud to report that we have not lost a single dwarf. Nice. We're still engaged in war, my friend. There's no time to simply take shelter and rest while Gorgar hides within the mountain home. After all, there are many other ways out of that mountain, and the orcs must know all of them. It's not a simple matter. My soldiers are in need of rest. Seems to be a common theme. At least, again, they're not just bloodlust, you know? Durin holds some of his army in reserves. I would urge him to send as many soldiers as he can spare to relieve us, even if only for a short time. It would be great to help us for the coming battles. I mean, that's a relatively good idea, like switching out enemies, or switching out soldiers, right? If you've got half resting, half fighting. You know, obviously, it's not the perfect plan in the world, but hey, it's better than, you know, nothing. The way we're doing Tarbella is a little bit different because obviously I'm streaming at the same time and then making a video. So we are going to be doing, I think, more content kind of behind the scenes, but it's still recorded. But I think it's good because then I can just do stuff like, you know, stairs in LFF, for example. I don't know, sword halls, sword halls, sword halls. I think people are just trying to power level at the minute. Fair enough to them. But, you know, whatever the next, you know, instances or even stairs or, you know, Ramachan and stuff like that, you know, we take part in those and slowly, it's much like I, a while ago did a load of epic battles. Like I always used to do epic battles after every episode to get better gear was the idea. So we could basically doing the same here in regards to, you know, if we do stairs or we do Ramachan or do, you know, Threshold or Fall of Khazar Doom, for example. I think. I'm curious. 5.1 is a 130 quest. We get a 131 tracery. Hopefully that's good. Because I think we've got, like, what we want. The idea is just, the idea for this is just going to be, you know, replacing what we currently have. And I'd like to get to 131 before I actually worry about that. 518,000 morale. Damn. Morale experience. I'm really bad at this. So this is just going to give me 121 in comparables. So I got 3 of them. Okay, so Durin. Blood of Azog, Father and Sons. We get another enhancement runes in comparable. I'm interested to see if they've changed the Scroll of Empowerment like I talked about. So collect letters. Within and without, and parcels along this fighting before you depart to the Lonely Mountain. Oh, okay, so this is a pretty easy one. I mean, I'll easily do this for like 500,000 experience. I see no problem with this whatsoever. So something else that that happened as well is obviously with the expedition bundly thing, we got like 10,000 virtue experience and then a like 10,000 like double virtue experience things. So we've got like, I don't know, technically I think 40,000 worth in terms of double experience, but 20,000 worth of like straight now virtue experience stuff. And we can easily get more. But the idea is I'm going to hold off until we get to, you know, 140 or whatever, because I think these should go up to 80 at that point, which means hopefully we can just get a ton more stats just pretty much like that. Okay, so there should be a bunch of parcels out here. Yeah, as expected. When it says within and without, and I got all the letters inside, it makes sense that the parcels are outside. Just the way quests work, you can kind of tell sometimes. Down here, hopefully. Parcel. Makes sense, it's near a mailbox. There's another parcel over here. And another one. But yeah, the reason it was very important for us to get the subscriber services is because at 131 we are going to reforge our weapon. It shouldn't get rid of our currently existing masteries or words of power or words of craft and stuff like that, but it means that we'll be able to overwrite them when we get to that level. Hey, there's a puzzle. I just must have... Oh no, there is just some by the goats, which makes sense actually. It's good because we're actually really close to him now. Deliver the letters, parcels, and Durin's missive to King Thorin in the hall under the mountain in Erebor. Now, the quickest way to get there is using the mission stable master, because it's super easy to get to Erebor from there. With King Thorin in his very awkwardly super far away throne. I feel like you just forget what you want to talk about by the time you got over to him. Like, I have a really important message. And then you actually get there. Like, imagine you're a dwarf and you're just like running or even walking. And then by the time you get about here, you're like, I actually forgot what I was going to say. At least that's something I would do. Okay.
Welcome, my adventurous friend. What news do you bring of Thorin? How fares his campaign?
You inform King Thorin of the events that transpired since he sent the remnants of the Iron Garrison. You tell the tale of the Battle of the Threshold of Gundabad, of Gorgar's near defeat, and the sudden danger of Hrimil Frostheart. I think that's how you pronounce that. Return from the annual winter stith. You also tell King Thorin that Durin's desires to press the attack and how he was persuaded against it, at least for a moment, by Nain and the dwarves of Karum Ubnar. It come bearing ill tidings. So long as my sons are well, I put my heart at ease. He glanced at the massive letters and parcels you brought from Erebor. I appreciate that you answer me as swiftly as you did, but please set all that down. My subjects will see that they are delivered to the proper dwarves here in the Lonely Mountain. As for his missive, let us see what he has written. He has said everything on the landing before the king's throne.
Tell me, how did my son come to change his mind, truly?
It was for the reason I sent them I hired that glowing warned against him plans born of vengeance. I wish my son had heeded his words. Durin leads the greatest Longbeard army we have brought to bear in 70 years. But he is still young and, in truth, untested. He has found victory at many starts along his journey from the Iron Hills, the hardship that shapes a dwarf. Durin was fortunate to know my father, Dane, in his time. He, too, was young when he answered the call of war, and I often wonder what he would think of how swiftly Durin has grown into his name. So, thoughts of Dane.
What can be said of my father, Dane, that has not been etched into the very history of Durin's folk?
True. Probably very well documented. He was but a stripling when he slew the great orc Azog. So close to my name. I don't like it. It's he who answered the call of Thorin Oakenshield and defended the Lonely Mountain against Bolg and the goblins of the north, and in so doing ushered in a time of peace between men, elves, and dwarves. And again, when the enemy sent his servants to the gate of the Lonely Mountain, he died in defense of his people, a hero to his last breath. But despite all his great deeds, I knew him as my father. I was his son, and Durin his beloved grandson. I must confess that I saw more of Dane in Durin than I did in myself, and what greater dwarf could one aspire to be? Well, that's nice. He's not, like, resentful, I guess.
Durin is not as hot-tempered as my brother, nor is he as measured as his father. He is himself, and that is enough.
That's quite a nice sentiment, I think. He is himself, and that is enough. But I did not name him Durin that he would earn the name in his life. The name will earn him through his deeds. So saying the name will earn him rather than he earns the name. Is that right? Or am I completely misunderstanding that? He's a very supportive father. That's good.
Durin has requested that I send a new mustard to the mountain hall.
Yes.
But so too does he ask for my guidance. And that has given me much to consider.
He asks for his guidance, but also wants you to help. Like, oh, Ithalan Shard. I'm pretty sure there are new shards. The Ithalan Shard's not so usable. But hey, it's fine. We're doing a lot of, like, level cap content now, so the Ithalan Shards and shards in general are still pretty useful. A familiar dwarf greets you.
I heard you followed Prince Durin in his quest.
Yes.
Was that not so?
You returned at the request of Durin to seek the aid of King Thorin. For my part, I was just about to take Nar home the Long Den. Although he was more himself this morning, his mind has wandered. Perhaps Nar may wish you well in your quest, but I make no promise. Hail. Huh, we look familiar. I wonder why that is.
Durin's quest might lead you. I hope you take care of yourself, my friend.
Right, well. Is it in here? Yeah, I think it's... Okay, this guy. It's about a young dwarf matching King Thorin's description.
A missive from King Thorin? I do hope this isn't about the cave claws again.
No.
Last time was an accident. I swear it.
Now I want to know. Okay. Finish.
Let me see what all this is about.
And I get uncommon. Oh, that's weird. So they're different depending on the tiers? Curious. I guess that's nice if you can, like, work out what it is dependent on the look. Okay. I must apologize for my curt introduction, and I tend to Azraz Akraz Zahar. I'm terrible with names, especially dwarven ones. Okay. As a missive, it seems King Thorin wished me to introduce you to the works of my grandfather. He kept a detailed account of his experience in the Sick War of the Dwarves and Orcs, especially the Battle of Azunil Bazaar. In fact, a collection of volumes are right over there, although I'm sure Prince Durin has heard tales of the war before. The king insists you study of it will be of use to his son and the Gabilika. Okay, so that's a good way, I think a nice way of them explaining it, you know, why you're going back in time. I think possibly a better way of doing it than Besieged. I don't quite remember how Besieged tried to do it, but it's fine.
Although he has at last found comfort amongst Durin's folk at the Lonely Mountain, the dwarf Nar has been witness to much hardship and tragedy throughout his long life. Long after the realm of Grark had fallen to the cold drake Vetug, and 20 years after the Lonely Mountain fell to Smaug, King Thror and his folk came to dwell in a coombe near the wilds of Dunland.
Oh, we're in Dunland-ish, right? I guess that's close enough to Moria. From the old stronghold of Zutragund, ruled what remained of the two kingdoms as he fled in his life. His son was Thrain, a formidable warrior. His grandson Thorin and Frerin, his granddaughter Dis, were yet young. We've met her. His people were few, poor, and hungry, and knew little joy since the loss of their homes in the north. But it was not in the halls of Erebor where Smaug had slumbered upon the elements of people, nor the frozen waste in the north that called to him. It was Khazad-dûm himself. Khazad-dûm is now a person. It's been more than 800 years since doom befell it, since the elves named it Moria, and it mattered not. Thror determined that he would reclaim it, and in doing so restore the glory of his kingdom and of Durin's folk. What true reason he had, none know for certain. Perhaps he had gone mad, or perhaps not.
Yet, in his heart, Thror desired one last quest, though he would not say where he meant to go.
I'm trying to work out what that was. Anyway, riches many yet spring anew from this bauble, my son. Perhaps, or perhaps not yet, one cannot breed gold without gold. When Thrain asked if his intent was to turn to Erebor, he remained silent. After a long moment he said, "These bones are too old, I will not be avenged on Smaug. That fate perchance shall be yours or your sons. I have known too much loss and of men's derisions. I go to seek better fortunes if they may yet be found."
All in Zudragund bade farewell to Thror, though they knew naught of his quest. Yet, to the surprise of his kin, Thror did not set off on his journey alone. With him, he took a single companion, Nar, his friend and esquire of old. And that is where our tale begins.
We're by the Mirror, aren't we?
Together, Thror and Nar went north.
Like Lothlorien down there. Or Karis Galvan. And the first tour being here. Right, am I?
Thor insisted against the west.
Pretty sure.
And the two continued northward. After a time, they crossed the Redhorn Pass and descended into Azanul Bazaar. In the dwarves' absence, it had become an unfamiliar and unfriendly land. The dale had long fallen silent, and what remained of the Great Way was choked with undergrowth. Yet there, beyond the brambles and brush, lay Thror's prize, the lost kingdom of Khazad-dûm.
I really like that there's actual voice acting. It's one of my biggest criticisms, and I'm glad to hear it.
The east gate yawned open, as if to beckon the two of them forth. But the journey had been long. In need of respite, Nar urged Thror to take rest.
Good idea. Oh, there's a coincidentally made campfire.
Although Thror had set his mind on entering Khazad-dûm, he relented.
And also doppelgangers.
And so, Nar toiled to set a small encampment at Azanul Bazaar. Nar built a fire and prepared what meager meal he could. But when the supper was ended, Thror stood at once.
As if to answer, Nar knelt before the old king and helped him fasten a shield to his arm.
It is time, Nar. I have lived long enough in exile. You have proven your loyalty, my friend, and I ask only that you await my return. Do not fear, dear Nar. I go to honor our forefathers.
Take heed, my friend. An ill wind blows in this vale.
But Thror cared not. Axe in hand, he went in, as proud as any dwarf ever crossed the doorstep of Khazad-dûm.
So proud of him.
For many days, Nar hid among the trees outside the gates, lonely and troubled.
When he dared to draw nearer to the gate and peer within the gloom, neither sound nor the faintest flicker of light emerged from within. More troubling still, neither had Thror.
And so,
Damn.
Nar waited.
And waited. And waited.
And waited.
Oh, okay. You're doing that bit, are you?
And waited. And waited. And waited. Until he thought he could bear it no longer.
It was his duty to await Thror's return.
As another day of waiting drew to an end, Nar slipped into dreams. In his mind, Nar beheld Thror standing triumphantly before the east gate. Behind him, a chorus of hammers and song echoed from the halls of Khazad-dûm. Such a joyous end to the quest, Nar could have hardly imagined.
I don't know if that was supposed to be a thing, or if...
So,
I don't know what that was supposed to be.
when Nar awoke, his clothing
It's got like a
was covered and
sepia
heavy with rain.
filter over everything, so I don't know if it was just supposed to be black, but it just kind of ended up being kind of more orangey.
Breaking the silence, a distant voice shouted in the Orcish town. A horn blared.
Oh, out of Moria. I mean, that makes sense.
Out of Moria. And from
Just
the
running
east
out.
gate came a sickening thud, echoing through Azanul Bizarre. Fear for Thror seized Nar's heart. Yet, loyal as ever and heedless of all peril, Nar drew his sword.
Well, we know Nar
Abandoning his
lives.
hiding spot, he rushed up the steps to the east gate.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong place, but if this is where I think it is, right? Near the, like, Mirror and stuff. I think it is. This place looks a lot cooler
Nar
than it
stopped
does
at once, frozen in
otherwise.
horror. Out of the darkness had flown a body, its limbs all a tangle. And nearby, a head lay before the gates.
Is he headless? Oh, damn! That's... I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of gruesome. That's a little... That... I didn't expect that. Not gonna lie.
Nar had known the truth at once, but wished not to believe it. It was Thror. And then, out of the darkest shadows of Moria, came a voice.
We know you're there, Bidley. We've
Who is
been
it?
watching you.
Don't lose my head. Hopefully I won't over who this mysterious voice is.
Yeah. We won't take your head today. No, you'll make a fine messenger yet.
Really hate the way he said messenger.
Well,
Just gonna be
come on then.
just... I mean, what can go wrong? Putting a trap down.
You see what we do to beggars and vagabonds who barge through these doors? He got what he had come in. The old thief trying to filch what's ours.
Is it? I'm trying to work out where in terms of time we are. Is it Azog? Because it's blood of Azog. So it would make sense.
You tell them that. Tell them all. And when his family asks who killed him and who's king here, that will be your answer. Go on, have a look. It's right there on his face.
God, oh god, I hate it.
You can read, can't you?
The head of Throy was severed from his body by the orcs of Moria. The name of his murderer,
Nar
Azog.
knelt to inspect Thror's head, and upon it was carved the name Azog.
Damn. I mean, predictable, but
That's right. I'm the master of this house.
my trap had no effect.
Leave it be, Beggarbeard. That's mine now. Yeah, some coin for no trouble. It's the least
I mean,
you can do, eh, boys?
there's worse ways to be kicked out somewhere.
Now, off with you.
I didn't slightly annoy with him who didn't take the gold. Because, like, morally, I can't do it.
And so, Nar fled weeping from Khazad-dûr. For many months, Nar wandered in the wilderness, racked with sorrow. The sight of his king's defilement branded in his heart.
At long last, he found a way north to the high pass across the Misty Mountains, then made his way back to Thrall's Comb. By the time he entered Zudragund, the guards scarcely recognized him. So haggard and wild he had grown, Nar will never well in his mind, or was never well in his mind again. I mean, from we saw him, I'm not surprised. I like that. One of my criticisms about like instances or like those sort of things where you just kind of stood there observing is the fact that when they're not voice acted, or there's no, it's just like silent, they can get a little bit like, I get distracted easily. Maybe it's just me, but I like that because, you know, it was a story, you know.
More to be said of his tale.
He was brought to Thrain in Zudragund, and there he told his tale and spoke the name of Azog, which all Longbeards have held with hatred ever since. All Thrall's court wept at the tidings and tore their beards, and looked at Thrain, who sat down heavily upon his father's throne and was silent, breaking the silence. You are king now, father. What is your will? How shall we answer this outrage? All around the court, hands went to the sword hilts and axe handles, but brows lowered darkly, and still Thrain sat silently. He did not move. 7 days he remained thus, still as a stone, saying no word. Then, as a storm long gathered that breaks upon the mountainside, he arose, eyes ablaze, and cried, "This cannot be borne." From Thrain's yearning for vengeance arose the sixth war of dwarves and orcs, simply called the War of the Dwarves and Orcs in our memory, but that is another tale.